Welcome to Late Night Health, the radio and video program that cares about the most important part of your life, your health. Hi, I'm Mark Alyn, and along with Dr. Greg Celaya, we present topics and ideas for you to think about each and every week here on the internet and on our websites, latenighthealth.com as well as drcelaya.com. We're joined now by Dr. Celaya. We're going to take a look at asthma today. And 3 ways to calm allergy, I'm assuming allergy symptoms, doctor?
Well, we're going to talk about asthma and 3 different ways to calm asthma. And asthma is nothing more than a swelling of the airways down to the lungs and even including the lungs. And there's several different reasons. And the few ones we're going to briefly talk about, it basically are genetics, bad air, this is a big one, poor digestive health. And you wouldn't have thought so, but it does make a huge difference. And that's really what the topic is about.
Interesting. Would that also be, because I know that we talk a lot about, problems with the self, the self kind of fighting itself. Is this another possible example in asthma?
Yeah, pretty much everything links to that. You end up with food sensitivities. And how often do you see kids using inhalers? It's all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's basically there to help minimize your body's inflammatory system. So there's definitely a lot going wrong, and we're finding out that it has a lot to do with unbalanced gut microbiome, which can cause leaky gut or which can cause inflammation.
Let's take a look at the inhalers first of all. And there are different kinds of inhalers. There's one that you use, I guess, all the time, a couple of times a day maybe. Then if you have an emergency, you use another kind. And then there's another kind and another kind and another kind. Very confusing. Are these generally for life or death in your opinion? In other words, if you don't use it now, you may not live.
I think it really depends on the condition. And there's several different types for different conditions. But it really depends upon the different reason they're having the problem, the constriction. When we start looking at the gut microbiome, a lot of people end up, just even for asthma or other things of that nature, we find that they've had long-term or longer term in the past antibiotic use, which can help damage the lining of the stomach, the digestive wall. And what that does is it can cause a decrease in nutritional absorption and increase the immune response. And also can increase in leaky gut and inflammation.
Is that due to overprescription of the antibiotics, do you think?
Well, it could be, or it could be, just the wrong drug at the wrong time, right? When you're younger, you're really developing your immune system and also developing your gut microbiome. You're born with a gut microbiome, but as time moves on, you develop it even further, and a lot of it has to do with what you're consuming, your foods. Right? So if you have a real big diversity in food, which most kids don't, you're going to increase your gut microbiome health by having a large variety of food, right? And therefore having a large variety of good, healthy microbiome.
But a lot of kids, from back when we were kids to even today, I don't want to eat that. It's green, right? I don't like vegetables.
Yeah, and it depends upon how you raise your kids. Mine weren't raised that way. Mine were raised right from the beginning on the healthy foods, right? And it has a lot to do with the parents. What the parents feed the kids eventually becomes status. And a lot of parents don't eat the good healthy veggies, and therefore then their kids don't eat it. And, at one point they may wake up, and I see this all the time. Hey, I'm going to start eating good. I'm going to try to get my kids eating good. And it becomes a problem. It's not that simple. But, you're a parent. You have your control. Right? Your kid's going to eat. And, if you have control over them, you feed them the right foods. It may not be easy because of what has happened in the past with them.
Now, when you say calm asthma, do you mean to calm the asthma symptoms where it's hard to catch your breath, you're having trouble breathing?
Yeah, over time, where, it's if you're having a pretty dramatic asthmatic flare-up, you're not going to do these things right away to create these things to decrease. You're looking to do things that will help calm asthma over time. right? So, you want to increase the anti-inflammatory foods, the leafy greens, the walnuts, the grains. Well, actually not grains, but sometimes, some people want to consume grains, and that may help in some people, but most people not, and fish. And also you want to remove pro-inflammatory foods. And I usually say it's a lot of the grains, which are the gluten and the dairy and the soy.
And what about things such as meat? Is that an inflammatory food?
Well, it can be, and it really depends how the meat's raised. So, for example, we're going to want to increase magnesium, and you can get that through nut seeds and leafy greens, and zinc as well, which is prevalent in beans, nuts, and high-quality animal protein. So there's your protein. Protein can help. You just have to make sure that you're not creating inflammatory problems by having the food or the meat grown incorrectly. So, for example, the grain versus grass-fed. Grain-fed is highly inflammatory, whereas grass-fed is not. And it changes the omega-6 to omega-3 ratios, which can create inflammation.
Would that also be not only in beef and pork, lamb, also in chicken?
Yeah, anything where you've adulterated or you've commercialized your meats. Right? I know all meats are pretty much commercialized, but how you grow them depends upon the inflammatory nature of them, right? When we eat them, so to speak.
What are the primary symptoms of asthma? Let's attack that.
Well, it's anything from feeling like a restriction of breathing, right? And it can be quite dramatic. And they've even found that deep breathing and meditation can help increase lung capacity and increase oxygen absorption over time, slowly, right? So these things can make a difference over time slowly. So you may not have those things, but really the microbiome is huge. It's huge to develop a healthy gut microbiome, and therefore so you don't have inflammatory problems later.
So that's item number one, would be food. Do you have other ways of calming? You mentioned meditation as two. What would be the third way of calming asthmatic reaction?
Well, we did food, we did anti-inflammatory foods, right? We did magnesium, zinc, and we did deep breathing and meditation.
And what about supplementation for the magnesium? Is that okay too?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Magnesium, zinc, also probiotics. You've got gut foods. You're going to be looking at glutamine. You're going to be looking at so many different things that can make a difference. The short chain fatty acids, which make a difference in feeding the gut. There's so much to do, but really, if you're not going to consume the right foods, you're going to not be feeding the microbiome, and you won't have a healthy system because you'll be inflamed.
Dr. Celaya, thank you very much for your insights on some ideas on calming asthma. If you want information on Dr. Celaya, you can always go to his website, drcelaya.com, drcelaya.com. Look around, lots of great videos, lots of great audio, lots of great articles, as well as the opportunity to actually speak to the man himself for a free 15-minute consultation. Go to drcelaya.com. And while you're at it, join us over at Late Night Health too, latenighthealth.com. For Dr. Celaya, I'm Mark Alyn. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.